So today we've got a few products presented before us. These companies all sent me this stuff for purpose of review, and it all arrived around the same time. And it just struck me when I looked at it all together with my eyeballs was that, wow, this stuff may be able to pair nicely with one of these handhelds, the ASUS ROG Ally or the Valve Steam Deck. So a quick product introduction here, and then we're going to be testing all this stuff out. I'm excited to just pair everything together and get the most out of my handhelds. But first up, one of the more interesting things we have is the FJ Dynamics Pony 500 power bank. This thing's a beast, 504 watt hour capacity. This thing weighs like 8 pounds, so you're not putting it in your pocket. Has a bunch of ports. You got a couple XT60 ports at 500 watt max on the front of the device here. And you could use that if you got the proper equipment for it, but it looks like they're meaning it to be used with like solar panels to charge the device up if you're lost out there in the woods or, you know, got a clear view of the sky, the sun out in the desert. I don't freaking know. Then you got a USB Type-C on the front, 140 watts. And then the interesting thing here is that there is a DC box, an add-on. They're supposed to be making new add-ons where you'll have different, you know, inputs and stuff like that. But the DC box that comes included, you get a USB-C at 100 watts, another USB-C at 65 watts, and then two USB-A's at 18 watts. So they say with this thing, with that front port, 140 watt fast charging, you get a phone from 0 to 50% in possibly 5 minutes. That's kind of sweet, but I want to use this to get the most playtime out of my handhelds to run that you know, ROG Ally at 30 watts turbo for an extended period of time. We'll have to see, right? So then next up, we have the BenQ Trevolo desktop dialogue speaker. This one I'm a little unsure of, a little skeptical of, because I understand what its use is for, you know, what it's used for, but the company, and I have worked with BenQ in the past, love their products. They said, hey, this pairs nicely with these handhelds, so you want to try it out? And it's like, hell yeah, let's go. So this thing's got 3 sound modes. You got a music mode, a video learning mode, which is like a voice enhancement mode, good for audiobooks, podcasts, stuff like that. A live learning mode that uses like the sensors on the front of the device, amplifies vocals, eliminates echo, that kind of stuff. You got a built-in condenser microphone. So this is a neat little speaker, but I'm still a little like, we'll find out. We'll find out. But yeah, interesting thing. We'll pair it up. And then we also have a portable monitor. I've looked at plenty of these in the past, but this is the CN Baban 2.5K portable monitor. This is 16 inches by with a resolution of 2520 by 1680. It's a 60 hertz QHD display. They say it's 100% sRGB color gamut. You got HDR, 1500 to 1 contrast ratio. And then another thing I just want to throw in the mix and quickly test out in this video is the Anker 737 power bank. This is something I purchased myself. I love Anker products. I have a million of their power banks, but this one, the specs and the features just are great, and being able to use this with the, you know, ROG Ally or the Steam Deck to get like, you know, hours more playtime at a more reasonable price than like that Pony 500, but not as much time out of it. It's still pretty cool. So the 737, it's a 24,000 milliamp hour battery, 140 watt max, you know, output. So you got a built-in display with all the specs, how it's charging, stuff like that. Really awesome stuff. You got 2 USB-Cs at max 140 watts and then a USB-A at 18 watts. So overall, if you use all 3 ports, max 140 watts. So, you know, keep that stuff in mind. But let's go ahead and get into this, pair this stuff all up and get going. So I've got everything ready to go for this test to just pair everything together in case, you know, I was ever stuck out in the middle of nowhere, or, you know, if I was living under a bridge or something with no power, I could run all this, have a nice little setup type of thing. I'm not going to focus on the Anker here, but with my test, plugging this thing into the ASUS ROG Ally, I can run at 30 watt turbo mode for about an hour and a half, pushing 2 hours, depending on what you're doing with this. And that's in addition to, I mean, that's what you get with this. And then if you want to drain the battery on the Ally, you got whatever is left with that. But yeah, this is providing, you know, a couple hours maybe. And then depending on, you know, how else, if you're on performance mode, silent mode, you'll get even more out of it. But what I wanted to focus on is the Pony here, because that's got a lot more watt hours going on. But I notice, like, I don't want to just test it this way, but we're going to plug it in directly just to give power. I don't know if this is a glitch with the UI with the Ally, but this should be no problem getting, you know, going into 30 watt turbo mode. but it doesn't reflect that. But in games, like in the command center, it just says 25 watts. But with this, it'll say 30 watts. It just, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But then in games, it will reflect that you're running in 30 watt turbo mode. So maybe just a glitch. I don't know. Some people may not even care about that. They just want to get the extra, time out of their system running in on power delivery from this. And you're going to get a lot of time here with this device. But that's not the way I wanted to run it. So we're going to be plugging it into the monitor here. I already have this Bluetooth speaker powered on, synced up to that. I'll give you my impressions on that. Now, I don't remember, but there's 2 USB-Cs on this portable monitor. One of them is power delivery. The other one's display and, can take power. I think it's the bottom one. So I have that plugged in. Okay, yeah, it is the bottom one. So we did that. Now, I also want to, I want to push the power. Like, instead of the monitor just draining the Ally, I want to get some power from this to just, have everything going. So I'm going to plug that into the top USB-C and then plug it into the front USB-C. It says 100 watts, but all the specs, it says 140 fast charging and whatnot. And when you look in their specifications, it's listed as 140. I think it's 100 watts in. So there we go. Nothing changed, but we are, power delivery from this going through everything. Looks like we are good to go. Now with this display here, let me change the resolution, because what are we at? This was a 2560 by 1680. So let me put that and keep that change on this screen. And then it fills up the entire screen. So there's that. I'm also using a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard. That way I don't have to, if I wanted to do all that, I have other keyboards, but with dongles and cables, there's no way with this setup. Like, I do have this Belkin hub, which works fine. And I've used it in this orientation, just plugging this in to that, to here, then, HDMI, and it works fine. And it did show as 30 watts one time. I didn't record the footage, but I think it's just a glitch where it doesn't work right. But here we go. Let's get this all the way up. If you're just lost out there, you're, living in your car, hey, this might be all right, man. Oh, and the one thing, if you're using a keyboard, you got this up on your TV or something. If you use Control Alt and C, you can bring up the command center to access all this stuff. So I've had to cut a couple times testing certain things out, trying to figure out the speaker as well. So I did download their application, because it really wasn't doing the job for me. I jumped into Baldur's Gate 3 and just, I had to tweak some things. And the tweaks with the app on the phone, it's just very simple. Like, hey, can you hear this frequency? Yes or no? Then it moves to the next frequency. And then it just kind of customizes a profile for you. So it's really, I couldn't go in there and really fine tune anything, but it did, after I went through that, it does sound better. But still, the speaker's like a $200 speaker, and it's meant for learning and listening to voice. And having, listening to games or music through it's kind of a secondary thing. So I wouldn't buy this solely for games, just being honest with you. It's a nice little device with a lot of features, but I just don't see it being really worth it. It sounds all right, though.
For now. But I'd rather get out of here than keep testing my metal against these things.
Voices come through good?
No, unless you count these monsters. You're the friendliest face so far.
And with this monitor, I did go back to 1920 by 1080 just because, but it's a pretty nice monitor. I mean, it looks good. It's just very glary. It's fairly reasonably priced at a little over $100 on Amazon. So yeah, I mean, if you need a portable monitor, it's not bad. The built-in speakers suck though. So yeah, if you're going to do a setup like this, maybe have some, earbuds or something else. I don't know, or just wire in some headphones somehow. But overall, a neat setup, but totally unnecessary. I mean, there's tons of other options out there. This is a cool battery pack. The Pony 500, you're going to get tons of, time out of this thing with that. But it's a little pricey. It's over $400. If they make more modules for it to have different inputs, outputs, that kind of thing, that'll be cool. But right now, just the DC one that it comes with You could power up a bunch of things, charge a bunch of things. It's nice to have, but it's not crazy portable. You're not going to carry this thing around with you to play your handheld. Something like the Anker 737, to me, is a nice option. Just you're not going to get as much time out of it, but way more portable. Way more portable. So I could highly recommend that. All these items have their uses, but yeah, this is a little ridiculous. Just wanted to try all this stuff out and, you know, see how it works, and everything's working good. So do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Let me know what you think. Bye.